What's up, YouTube? Stephen from Stephen and Tosh, and today I'm going to come with a little bit of wisdom. Not my wisdom, but biblical wisdom. And this video kind of came about because of a few things that happened over the weekend. And the word that came to mind is humility. Humility, or being humble. And I just looked up the definition of humble and humility. And some interesting, some things came up, but one thing really struck me as kind of hitting the nail on the head. And it said, humility, or being humble, is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. So not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. In other words, thinking about the other person or other people before you say what you say, do what you do, whatever. And I failed at this weekend. So quick story, I went to my son's football game, and they were playing a team that they weren't supposed to beat. They hadn't beat them in 4 or 5 years. Everyone, including myself, thought they're not going to win. Team's just too athletic, and they hadn't beaten them before, and this team was blowing teams out prior to them, like I think 80-0 and 40-0. They were really destroying teams. And so the game went by. The first half was decent. They were competitive. I think it was a close game. Second half started to get away from us a little bit. So it gets down to about the 2-minute mark left in the game. They're up by about 14 points. The other side, the fans on the other team, started doing the na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye. I'm sure you heard that before. And I'm of the opinion that if you want someone not to brag or boast or gloat, then don't let them. In other words, you beat them. If they're celebrating in the end zone and you get mad, don't let them get in the end zone. So I didn't think much of it. I thought it was a poor sportsmanship. Probably. Were they being humble in that moment? Definitely not. So, game continues on. Get to about 17 seconds left. And we're down 14 points. Now, it had been about a minute and a half since they did their na-na-na-na thing. And quite frankly, I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. My wife was next to me saying, oh, that was bad. They shouldn't have did that. And I couldn't disagree. So, when you know, 2 touchdown passes, an onside kick later, and 2-point conversion, we win the game. By 1 point, no time left on the clock. So what do? Na 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 na, na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye. And it felt good, I must admit. Thinking back on it, should have been the bigger person. Shouldn't have said anything at all. That's where I failed. A minor thing, you might think, but in retrospect, yeah, I wasn't humble. And it's very hard to be humble sometimes, very hard to keep your mouth shut, very hard to think of yourself less while still not thinking less of yourself. So how did they feel now after they did what they did and they end up losing the game? They feel pretty stupid. Deservedly so. Another benefit to being humble. You don't end up having to eat crow, as they say, or eat some humble pie, where you're being forced to be humble now, where you could have humbled yourself in the beginning. And God has a way of doing that. If you don't humble yourself, God definitely will. So, brings me to the election. Don't know what side you're on. Don't know if you're a winner or a loser at this point, whether you're Republican, Democrat, voted for Trump or didn't. I don't know where you stand on that, and it really doesn't matter. The point is this, and Dave Chappelle said it in his skit, his opening monologue on Saturday Night Live on Saturday. He said, be mindful that half the country lost. Half the country lost the election, and they maybe voted for Trump, or maybe they just voted Democrat or Republican and had nothing to do with Trump. I don't know, but we have to be mindful of that. So now we have the opportunity to be humble. if you're on the winning side. Not to rub it in their face. Because what does that actually prove? What does that actually do but stir up more strife, more anger, more division, which is kind of why we're here in the first place in terms of this election. It's been all about division. Division does not help this country. Division does not help you in your life. Division is not what God wants. So the Bible, throughout the Bible, it's all about being humble, turning the other cheek, thinking of yourself less, which is what Jesus did. The ultimate symbol of humility. Coming down as God, being a man, dying as a man for sins he did not commit. So the ultimate self-denial. We, as Christians, should emulate that. Strive to be like that. Think of ourselves less. Thinking to ourselves, in my mind, what I always think is it's not about you. When things go on that I don't agree with, don't like, I think it's not about you. When I want to work on my marriage and look at what my wife says, what my children do, and I think, what do I want to know? It's not about you. Think about things from the other person's point of view. Try to live your life with that mindset. It's not about you. I think if we did that, think of how much nicer the world would be, how much less division there would be in the world if we just were humble. Not thinking less of ourselves, but thinking of ourselves less. That's what Jesus did. That's what he taught us to do. Just my message to you, my message for me, because I failed, like I said. If there's a humility test this weekend, I bombed it. F. But the grace of God gives us another day, another chance, forgives us for what we've done wrong. So now I'm going to work on being humble, showing humility. So let's challenge with this. Tomorrow or today, whenever you see this video, you're going to have an opportunity to show humility. Sometimes it hurts to do that. But let's try it. You're going to have an opportunity today or tomorrow or the next couple of days to show humility. Why don't we emulate Jesus and be humble and see what happens? Because as I said, God will humble you if you won't do it yourself. So, let's not think less of ourselves, but think of ourselves less. See you next time.